All right, guys. Welcome to part 3 of the Q&A questions answered. This should be the final part. So yeah, let's just get on with it.
Keyringhead asks if you could see any band that's ever existed live, which one would you see? That's a good question.
Yeah, definitely. So how I'm going to answer this is a band that literally it is impossible. You could never see this band live again. And that would be Dissection. Yeah.
Right. Next question. Hail Metal Forever asks, what is the most overrated, straightforward black metal band in your opinion?
Kind of already answered this one, I think, in part 1. It's a little bit different. Definitely Watain. Everybody tries to say that they're like a diet Dissection, so to speak. But I personally don't think they sound anything like Dissection. Um, so that's just kind of my take on that. I've never been a big fan of Watain. Sorry. All right.
Mike asks, what's your favorite Drowning the Light demo?
Fuck. Oof. God, with a discography as massive as that project, I always get stuff mixed up, whether it's like considered an EP or a demo. The Flames of Sacrifice demo, that one's really good. What's the name of the other one? Diabolical Winter Spells, that's a good one. Tormented Nights, yeah, those are good ones.
They also want to know your opinions on Dungeon Synth.
So if you watch my videos, I have shown some Dungeon Synth, but I've also expressed my dislike for the modern sounding Dungeon Synth. I basically really only like the old school sounding stuff. And then you get into the shit that like is starting to get popular these days, like the Dino Dungeon Synth and all that crap, and it's just like, I don't know. It's like, I've said this before, and other people have agreed with me. Dungeon Synth is becoming like, there's a new project every second, and it's just no quality whatsoever. It's just the same thing, and just boring and bland. So, you could say the same thing about black metal to an extent, but I don't know. I just feel like with a genre like Dungeon Synth, at least for me, there's gotta be something to grab your attention. So, yeah, that's the best way I can answer that.
Next question is from Billy Bishop. Why is black metal your favorite genre or subgenre of metal?
It's just the one that has appealed to me the most over the years. I like how real it is, and the music is just great. There's not really anything else to say about it. It's just like the one subgenre or just genre that I can just never get tired of. So, yeah.
Adam C. asked, other than Norway, what country and or scene is your favorite, or do you deem most important to black metal?
Is it other than Norway?
Yeah.
Lately, and I've said this before, the French scene is just massively underrated. There's so many great bands and albums from that scene. Everybody talks about, obviously the big three, Norway, Finland, Sweden, but you get a lot of good stuff that comes out of the French scene that just kind of flies under the radar. You got a lot of good stuff in the Canadian scene. Even the U.S. As much shit as the U.S. gets for having lackluster black metal, there's a lot of good projects that come out of the U.S. that most people do not even realize or even exist. Or I mean, a few of them being Warwolf, band that I mentioned, either part one or part two, Maleficent, which I just discovered them, and that project is great. Mockwaddle, I mean, God, Mockwaddle's gotta be one of the best USBM projects going. I know a lot of people, when it comes to USBM, kind of lean towards the Black Twilight Circle, but I mean, I think there's way better stuff in US black metal than what's going on in there. I mean, aside from maybe like Arismenda and like Volan, um, yeah, I mean, aside from like those couple, and then Blue Hummingbird on the left is good, but I mean, yeah, I mean, the U.S. just has a lot of great bands that just kind of nobody knows about. So, yep.
Next question is from John Tenism. What do you think of the Swiss band Helvetic Frost?
I think I've listened to. I'm not very familiar with the project, but I have listened to it before. And from what I remember, it was good. But I can't really go into any greater detail than that, so, you know.
Alright, next question is from Bailey Reynolds. We got 7 questions here. Number 1, if you ever started a black metal band, what style of black metal would you want to play?
I would say, for me, I would probably combine elements of, like, at least... I would say probably... It would definitely be... God damn, it's so difficult to... If I was going to do something, it would probably sound like a mix between, like... Probably like a mix of like the style of Goat Moon mixed in with like Swedish melodic black metal, and then sprinkle like a little bit of like French influence in there. I don't know. It's so like yeah, something like that. I don't know. It would be very weird.
Number 2, what's the most expensive album in your collection? You already answered that.
I already answered that. Yeah, you can skip that.
Number 3, what country do you think has a great black metal scene that doesn't get enough recognition? Kind of already answered that.
Yeah, the U.S. for sure. I mean, stop sleeping on the USBM bands, guys, because there's a lot of good ones. I mean, yeah.
You've kind of touched on this. Number 4, what are some bands that are no longer around that you would have liked to see live?
No longer. Agalloch, definitely. Bands that are no longer... Okay, I guess we're talking bands that no longer play live.
Yeah.
Or
that are even together.
Yeah, Lord Belial, definitely. But they've been very active on their social media accounts recently, so hopefully something is stirring in the pot. I know they were supposed to play MDF like 5 or 6 years ago, and they had to they canceled because they posted something on their Facebook page saying that, you know, we'll have to cancel our appearance at Maryland Death Fest or whatever because... Or the band, they said they were going on a hiatus because the members of the band, basically, they can't get their shit together. Like, they can't commit to the band. So, yeah, that... Sacramentum was one of them, but as long as COVID doesn't fuck things up, I'll be seeing them next year at MDF. But, I mean, also, too, at one point, they said that they weren't going to be getting back together. And then they kind of did, so I technically can still use them as an example. Dawn is also another one of those bands. I know I'm naming a lot of Swedish bands here, but I mean, these are just bands that I really want to see live. Dawn was teasing a new album several years ago, and then they just kind of stopped. So I don't know what's going on with that, or if they're still planning on putting out a new album or not. But when I tell people that Dawn was working on a new album, it just blows their friggin' minds, you know. So, but it's like, yeah, they were active at one point, like actively recording a new album, and they were being vocal about it on their Facebook page. But recently, it's been very silent. So I don't know if that's still gonna happen or not. But yeah.
Number 5. What are your thoughts on technical death metal and melodic death metal?
Well, obviously, I love melodic death metal. Newer melodic death metal is definitely leaves a lot to be desired because it's, I don't know. I don't want to go into huge details, but it's just newer melodic death metal is just not very good. I mean, you got some bands from the old scene that are still kind of trying to fan the flame. You know, like Dark Tranquillity is still putting out decent material. As far as technical death metal, not a fan. It's not for me. But I mean, again, to touch on this, to touch on the melodic death metal thing, I think melodic death metal was a genre that is very much a '90s and early 2000s thing. I think the genre is just, aside from a couple bands, you know, but those bands don't have the traditional sound that the older melodic death metal bands have. Like you could say bands like, you know, one band that comes to mind is House of Atreus, however the hell you want to pronounce it. They're definitely a good modern melodic death metal band, but they're in the vein of the Argus style, which sounds nothing like the style of a band, you know, say, you know, Old Dark Tranquillity or Gates of Ishtar or bands like that. So you can't really compare the two because they're two completely different styles. But yeah, like I said, I just think melodic death metal is a style that stayed and died in the 90s and early 2000s. It's just was kind of confined to that period. So, yep.
Number 6. Which album in your collection was the hardest to find?
I mean, I could answer that question in several ways because it depends on, like, find just in, like, as in it never pops up on Discogs or something, or it's hard to find for a good price. I mean, I could answer that question in a couple of different ways. Shoot. Well, I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. I mean, the Mutilation and Satanic War Master during the Light Split. I mean, that was on my want list for fucking ever, and I finally got it. I mean, there occasionally copies would pop up, but people would be just charging way too much for it, and I finally got a decent deal on a copy, so I just pulled the trigger because I knew I wasn't going to be able to get it in that condition for any cheaper than that. And the guy that I was talking to, the guy that was selling it, he was like, you know, hey, I need to know if you want this or not because I'm talking to somebody else that is interested in it. And I was like, fuck. So I was like, I just gotta say fuck it and just pull the trigger. Because I made the guy send me pictures and everything. Because I'm like, I'm not about to drop this kind of money on a record and not get pictures. So, yeah.
Alright. They say, and now the biggest question of them all, number 7. Do you prefer ass or titties?
Both.
I know, guys, I don't have both.
What?
I said I don't have both.
Are you kidding me?
Alright, BJ Gross asks if you could live anywhere else in the world
Good margarita.
besides the US, where would it be?
I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased because I've been there a couple times, but definitely Finland. If I could speak the language and like make a living there, yeah, I would definitely move there. Because nobody in Finland gives a fuck. Everybody there is drunk. You know, I mean, it's just fun. It's entertaining. Um, yeah.
Alright. Stormwind.
Plus I would get to go to Cult every day, Cult Records, so that would be tight. But then I would also drop $1,000 every fucking week I go there, so which that wouldn't be a good thing.
Stormwind79 asks, among countries which you've never been to, which one do you most want to visit and why?
I mean, obviously, I do want to visit, like, a few more European countries, you know, like, Sweden, Poland, Germany, Norway, Switzerland. Basically, I would really love to just do, like, a tour of, like, all fucking European countries and just stay in each one for, like, a day or two. But yeah, I mean, but aside from Europe, I mean, I would like to go to. It'd be cool to go to Australia to check that out. I've heard good things about New Zealand, but yeah.
Okay, Christian Ramos Santos wants to know, what's a band that gives you the best memories?
I'd say probably Alkaline Trio. I mean, obviously, for those of you that know them, it's not a black metal band, just kind of like your typical kind of. I mean, I wouldn't say typical because I think Alkaline Trio is pretty unique. But just kind of like a good kind of, you know, punk rock band. One of the bands that really got me starting to listen and like actually get into music more. And I just have fond memories of just listening to them with my friends when I was younger, you know, skateboarding and just doing stupid shit. You know, basically just having fun, you know. So it's not like that anymore. So whenever I listen to Alkaline Trio, it's just like, yeah, it brings back a lot of memories. And to this day, Alkaline Trio is still one of my favorite bands.
Okay, next question. Jose Pena asks, are you into dark wave / 80s new wave bands?
No, not at all. If you're talking about like what fuck, what's that one dude's name? The dude from fucking Streborg, what he turned Streborg into after he stopped playing black metal? No.
Next question comes from GP365Y. As someone who buys all the formats, what's your take on them and what makes you want to purchase a tape LP versus a CD or vice versa? Is it about cost, or do you prefer certain subgenres of metal with certain formats?
So I'm trying to think of the best way to answer this. So a lot of it has to do with availability and cost, obviously. Obviously, certain things are only released on certain formats or have only ever been released on a single format or one or two, whatever the release may be. So I guess it just really just depends. It depends on the release. Some bands or some albums, I will buy it on multiple formats if I really like it. I would say for me, I play records and tapes the most. Most of the time with CDs, it's just to kind of have them. You know, I rarely pull out a CD just to listen to it. Unless it's something that I don't have or I can't get on vinyl or tape. So, it really just depends, you know, on the album slash band. Generally, I prefer vinyl, but sometimes I will go to tape if it's cheaper. But yeah, that's all right. I'm done with that one.
Wax McFly asks, how big is your Motley Crue collection? Also, video, please. Thanks.
I did used to have a couple videos up. My collection used to be bigger, but I've since sold some of that stuff. Just because, not because I didn't want it, just because like it was taking up a lot of space in the collection. It's just one of those things where you got to make room for other stuff. You know, and a lot of the stuff on there was just kind of like, okay, like I already, because it would be like a single or like a picture disc or something like that. It's just like I already have this on another format, or not another format, but it's like this is already on another release. You know, it's like I don't need two copies. It's just taking up space in the collection. So I took down those videos a while ago because it's just like I don't have most of this stuff anymore. There's no point keeping these videos up anymore. I do still have a lot of Motley Crue stuff, but it's not nowhere near what I used to have. But then you get into other bands that I have a lot of, like Drawing the Light, but it's not the same thing on each release. It's something different. But, because I mean, like I had a massive like Motley Crue and Wasp collection, like it was insane, and then I got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I gotta like let go of some of this stuff and make room for other stuff. I still have some duplicates. I kept a lot of it, but some of it had to go. So, yeah, this is what it is.
Zachary 1966 asks, did you watch Steel Chaos live stream concerts? If so, which were your favorite acts of those events?
No, I didn't watch it. Friday, I was working. Like, everybody and their goddamn mother must have taken that day off to watch it, and people were like, oh, are you watching it? Are you going to watch it? I'm just like, no, I'm at fucking work. You know, it's Friday. And as far as Saturday, I just didn't, I don't know. I mean, I don't really care about, I'd rather see it in person. To me, it's not the same watching it through a live stream. I'd rather see it in person, and a few of those bands that are playing are playing Steel Fest next year, anyways. Are really the only one band that was playing that I really wanted to see was the True Werewolf. Another one being War Moon Lord, but provided I can fucking get into Finland next year, I'll be seeing them at Steel Fest. Can't remember some of the other bands that were playing. You had White Death. I've already seen White Death though. Seen Horna 3 times. A few other bands that were playing I didn't really give a shit about. I've seen Vargrov twice. So yeah, I can't think of. Zazo played, which if that dude didn't get drunk and pass out, then there wasn't really any point in watching their set. You had Goat Moon, which that would have been another cool one, but I heard Goat Moon's set was kind of like weird, or like they took like a break halfway through the set or something. They took like a beer and like a smoke break or something. So I don't know. I would just rather see it actually live, you know. And obviously, it's a massive time difference between here and Finland. Like, what, Finland's like 8 hours ahead, or at least of me. I mean, I'm in Central Time in the States, so yeah, I think Finland's like 8 hours ahead of me. So yeah.
Here's C666 asks, what will happen to your collection if something were to ever happen to you?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I don't have a will, which is kind of a bad thing considering how much shit I own. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't sorted that one out yet. Honestly, I was thinking about what I will probably do is Um, I will probably leave it with my significant other, and I will just tell her to sell it online, and just get the best price for it that you can get, and use the money for whatever you need as far as cost expenses for whether it be my funeral or anything that they need to get themselves out of debt or to buy something nice for themselves or whatever. Because if you don't have a significant other that likes the same stuff that you do, it's not really much value to them, or there's not much sentimental value there. So, yeah.
Right. 3 questions from Schweener Schinkler. Favorite non-metal / hard rock album?
Damn. Don't really listen to anything outside of rock, to be honest. I really don't. I mean, I would say the closest fucking thing outside of rock, or that would borderlines, you know, not being rock, but is still rock, is Michelle Branch.
Oh, yeah.
Spirit Room. I mean, that's a great album. But yeah, other than that, I don't really listen to anything. I know for some reason, a lot of metal fans really like Lady Gaga.
Oh, Cameron.
which is kind of weird. I mean, I get the appeal. I do. She's a metalhead, so obviously all metalheads are like, she's a pop star, she's a girl, and she likes metal, you know? Because apparently she likes Iron Maiden and stuff like that, and Metallica, which, just because you like Iron Maiden and Metallica does not make you a metalhead, or metal fan in general. So,
Alright.
But, yeah.
Favorite actor?
God. I don't care about actors, really.
I don't think you really have one. Or actress.
I mean, I would say Harrison Ford. I like him. This is probably, I mean, it's a popular one, but Samuel L. Jackson. He's just hilarious in any role he does. He's just perfect. But other than that, I'm not really a big actor person. But yeah.
Alright. Do you go to flea markets or yard sales?
Oh, damn it, that shit came up and hit me in the eye. Flea markets or yard sales, not really so much anymore, but I used to a lot back in the day. You know, when I was like, especially like when I first started collecting tapes when I was like 13, we used to go to this flea market a lot, and I would just, you know, the tapes were like 50 cents, you know, so it's like I could, you know, buy a shit ton of them, you know, which obviously 95% of those tapes I do not have anymore, at least. But, I mean, still, it was cool. I mean, yeah, I found a lot of cool stuff at flea markets, you know. They're definitely good places. I mean, you're not going to find obscure black metal gems at a flea market, but, you know, you might find some other cool stuff. So, yep.
Michael Green asks, is there any album you sold or traded that you subsequently regretted?
Nah, not really. No. I mean, usually when I sell something, I'm usually dead set. Like, it's gone, I'm never going to own it again. So.
Karsten Collins asks, what's your favorite USBM album?
Probably. Probably Judas Iscariot's Heaven in Flames. It's definitely up there.
Paul K asks, do you listen to black metal while you're playing video games?
Yep. Sure do.
Because you already covered what video games you like, so he asked.
Well, I mean, not really.
Oh.
Somebody asked what was my favorite.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to know which games do you play.
I mean, I mentioned, I think in part 1 that I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2 right now. I'm playing through it for the second time. But it's such a long fucking game. So, I mean, I pretty much play a little bit of everything. Except sports games. Unless it's like the old Tony Hawk games, I don't really give a fuck about sports games. I'm very picky with my shooters. I'm more of like I like hack and slash games. Like God of War. And, or some of the other good ones. Bayonetta. Or some other good ones. Like some RPGs, obviously. So, yeah, it's like a little bit of everything, you know?
Next question, Kevin Higginbottom wants to know what your technique for browsing record shops.
Well, most of the record shops that I go to, I already know where they keep the stuff that I would be looking for. One of the main places you always have to check when you go to a record store is their new arrivals. I've found a lot of good stuff in new arrivals section, so I highly recommend, even if it looks like they're only going to have shit in there, it's worth checking because you never know what you're going to find. Other than that, though, I mean, a lot of times record stores will not have a black metal section. So you have to go through the metal section and browse through all of the, popular shit that you don't care about to try to find what you're looking for. But, I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it, but a lot of it all depends on how well the record store is organized. Because some are organized better than others.
Alright, final question is from Roy Barreto. If you really like an album, do you make a point about getting it in different formats, or do you settle for whatever you've got?
Yeah, so I kind of already answered this. I used to be one of those people that if I liked an album, I wanted to own it on every format. I'm not really like that anymore. I mean, yeah, I do have several albums that I own on all 3 formats, but it's not important to me anymore. I mean, if anything, I pick which format I don't care to have it on, and then I sell that one, and I use that money towards something else. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, that was the last
That's
question.
it. All right, yeah, so that was the last question. So now that we're done with that, I want to touch on a couple of questions that I get all the fucking time that I'm surprised did not get asked. Okay. One of them being, where or what are your favorite labels or favorite places to buy records, like online and stuff like that. Which I did a whole video about that. You should be able to find it. I think the video is called Distros and Sites to Check Out, so you can check out that video. Another question that I get constantly, and I mean constantly, is where do you get your posters? All the posters that you guys see in my videos have been obtained from the records. I do not actively go out and buy posters. So that answers that one, because I cannot tell you how many times I've gotten that question. Yeah, every single poster I've gotten from a record. But yeah, those are just a couple that I was going to answer if they didn't get asked. So yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. All right, guys. So thanks for the questions. I appreciate it. Like I said, this will more than likely be the last Q&A I ever do. I'd say if I ever do another one, it would be at like fucking. It would be at like 10,000 subscribers, and that will probably never happen. It would have to be something big to make me want to do this again. So yeah, next videos that are coming after this are the giveaway, the giveaway winners video, which to answer a couple questions about that, yes, I will ship internationally, but it will go the cheapest shipping option. If you want anything better than first class, you will have to pay extra for it. So everything will be shipped first class, even in the States. Even for the CDs and stuff, because media mail is shit. And then the room tour will follow as well. So it'll probably go in that order. But yeah, guys, that's it. Again, thanks for watching and thanks for the questions, and I will see you guys in the next video.